When was the last time you saw a really great movie? Well, now's your chance. A powerful Kendrick Brothers film is coming to theaters this month, and you are not going to want to miss this one. Alex Kendrick joins us now from Georgia via Skype. Alex, I've heard a lot of other directors say that some film impacted them when they were young, kind of guided their career choices. What was it that happened to you during your childhood that caused you to want to make films for a living?
For the first 9 years of my life, we actually did not have a television. And so it was a rare treat to go to a movie. And I remember them being bigger than life and thinking that I must do this. I remember Swiss Family Robinson and Chariots of Fire and eventually Star Wars. I wanted to be a storyteller. And so it was exciting when we got our first home video camera, and my two brothers and I would run out in the woods and make our own version of action movies. And of course, later that would develop, along with our love for ministry, into using movies as a tool to reach as many people as possible with God's love and truth.
Alex, I heard you say one time that God spoke to you. So what did he ask you, and what was your response to his call?
My wife, Christina, and I were spending time in North Carolina at Billy Graham Center, The Cove, where a lot of people go for spiritual nourishment. And when we were there, I remember in my time of prayer, the Lord saying something to me more profoundly than I had ever been spoken to by God before. And he basically said, "Alex, would you rather have an easier road with less fruit or a harder road with more fruit?" My wife and I ended up talking about that, and after a couple of days, we knelt and prayed and asked the Lord to give us more fruit, but to be with us in that harder road. And certainly since 2006, when that happened, he has given us more fruit than we ever imagined, but it has been a difficult road. It has certainly stretched us, not only in our family, but physically and spiritually. But at the end of the day, I want to be where the Lord wants me, and there's no better place to be than in the center of God's will. So as long as he's with me, I want to keep down this road.
What can you tell me about the message of your first serious film, Flywheel, and how was that film received?
Flywheel was meant to be for our local community as an outreach of our church, and it was on the theme of lordship. We talked about a used car dealer that would go to the local church to hopefully pick up some customers. So it was the largest church in the area, and the Lord got a hold of his heart later on, and he realized that much like a car he was fixing up, he was missing one crucial piece. The car, the convertible, was missing a flywheel. You know, it didn't matter how good the car looked on the outside, it wouldn't run. And in his own life, his heart wasn't right. He was missing the lordship of Jesus Christ in his heart and his life. And so when he began understanding that, it revolutionized his relationship with God, certainly his marriage, his family, and eventually his new standards and principles impacted his work as well. So the movie was called Flywheel, and it went far beyond our local community. I think it ended up selling a little over 1 million DVDs because God did something with it far above and beyond what we ever imagined or expected. And so I have fond memories of the first movie, Flywheel, that led to the other 4 that we've recently done.
What would you say that God taught you in the making of your second picture, Facing the Giants? And how well did that film do at the box office?
Facing the Giants was made with only $100,000 for the production budget. All the actors and most of the crew were just volunteers, so most of that money went to equipment. We shot it in 2004. It ended up coming out in theaters in 2006. The theme of the movie is faith. Much like a football game, sometimes in life, in our faith journey, we feel like we advance, and sometimes we feel like we fumble and lose a few yards. So that was the analogy we intended to use. But by the end of Facing the Giants, the Lord certainly stretched us in our own faith, just completing the movie, certainly stretched us when it came to figuring out how it could be distributed. And the Lord did, again, amazing things as we devoted ourselves and dedicated the movie to Him. He opened a door through Sony to release it in theaters. It was meant to come out in only 400 theaters and get about $3 to $5 million. It ended up doing over $10 million in theaters and selling 3 million DVDs. And I think it's because of the prayers of the team working on it and devoting ourselves to Him and not compromising, trying to please the world, but solely chasing after the Lord. And when you do that, good things happen.
So, as you became more and more successful financially and as a filmmaker, did the path become easier? And what film and book came out of your next project?
The path did not become easier. Every film, it seemed like the Lord was keeping the scope of the film and the project just above our comfort level. And so we would have to continually rely on Him, and He stretched our faith through every project. The third movie we did, Fireproof, certainly did that, even at a personal level. I've been married 20 years, and the hardest year of my marriage was when we were making a movie about how to have a godly marriage. I was thinking, why am I struggling so much spiritually and in my relationship during this time? And someone wisely told me, Alex, when you're following the Lord and He gives you a target to pinpoint, you know you're over the target when you're getting shot at. And so that certainly was true for us. But the Lord brought us through that season. He did amazing things with Fireproof, calling so many marriages to rededicate themselves to the Lord. Fireproof came out in 2008. We thought it would do 15 to 20 million in the box office. It ended up doing 33 million. It sold 4 million DVDs. And the book, The Love Dare, came out as a result of Fireproof. That sold about 6 million copies. And again, The Love Dare is a 40-day journey for a couple to go through biblical principles of prayer. And again, we've heard thousands of testimonies from what the Lord did. For us, the big secret was going to Scripture and using God's truth to write that book and to make the film. And so again, God deserves all the credit, but we are grateful that He allowed us along the journey for this film.
Why did you decide to deal with the issue of fatherhood in your film Courageous, and what kind of reaction did you get from the theaters and from the audience?
Well, we began praying in 2009 about our movie that would follow Fireproof, and the Lord began turning our hearts toward the issue of fatherhood, calling fathers back to being the spiritual leaders of their homes. And so we wrote and made the movie Courageous. It came out in the fall of 2011. And again, the theme was reminding especially men to take up that role, to be the defender, the provider, the spiritual leader of your home. And, all of us have a Father in heaven, and all of us are operating either for approval or from approval. And we want people operating from the approval of the Lord and not constantly having to seek it throughout their life because they never felt like they got it. And so we're reminding fathers of their crucial role. And Courageous did almost 35 million in the theaters, and it was followed up with a book called Resolution for Men, reminding men of their biblical roles as father and husband. Resolution for Men was on the New York Times bestseller list, and again, we're so grateful for the response to them and grateful that the Lord blessed it. And so we continue asking Him for His ideas and His direction, and hopefully we'll draw more people to a relationship with the Lord.
Well, you guys have been really successful. The Kendrick brother films have received cost to profit margin that Hollywood can only dream about. So what is being done with the revenue that these films are generating?
Well, we did Flywheel, Facing the Giants, Fireproof, and Courageous as part of the ministry of Sherwood Baptist Church under the umbrella of Sherwood Pictures, which is what we started to make these films. And they belong to the church. And money has been used to not only pay off the church, but to start 3 new churches from Baltimore all the way to San Francisco, California. And we've been able to support many missionaries going out in the field. We also built a sports complex in Albany, Georgia for the entire community. And we've had dozens and dozens of young people saved from the Christian coaches that we've asked to lead those sports teams out there every single season. We've also given to the homeless and fed the needy each week as part of the church ministry. So the money has certainly gone back into ministry, and we're grateful for all of that. But yeah, I think anybody that looks at what's become of the finances would be pleased to see that we've honored the Lord with it.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing your new film, War Room. It'll be in movie theaters August the 28th. So what subject are you going to cover in this film? And is it mainly for Christians, or is this something that the average American might enjoy?
Well, after Courageous, my brother Stephen and I spent over 2 years asking the Lord what to do next. And the Lord put on our hearts this concept for War Room about the power of prayer, and that prayer really is a powerful weapon. Much like the military gets together when they are about to engage an enemy, they look at what the enemy's doing, they form a strategy, call in the resources, and then disseminate that plan to the troops in the field before going to battle. We must do that as believers as well. We are not meant to charge out there and face our issues with our own logic. We're meant to go to the Lord first in our war room, if you will, or prayer closet. So this movie, War Room, is a call first to the church to engage in focused, strategic prayer, seeking the Lord. We follow Matthew 6, verse 6, where He says, when you pray, Go into your inner room and close the door, and your Father who sees what's done in secret will reward you. And then Jeremiah 29:13 adds, if you seek the Lord, you will find him, and he will hear you. And so that's what we're reminding people to do. And so it is certainly a movie that will resonate with any audience. Anyone would be blessed and inspired to watch the journey of this family in War Room, and hopefully they'll leave the theater inspired to increase their own prayer life.
Well, Alex, it was a real pleasure getting to know you a little bit better today. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers? Maybe tell them how they can support the film and get the word out to their friends to go and attend.
War Room comes out in theaters on August the 28th, and we certainly hope that people will come out and see it. The stronger that it does, the more likely to expand and to reach more people. The website is warroomthemovie.com, and to go there, and even our Facebook page for War Room the Movie, you can learn more about it there. We hope that the churches will go in groups to see it. We certainly think that this is a tool that almost any church could use to inspire and exhort their people to a deeper motivation for prayer and seeking the Lord, and not just praying for their own needs, but doing battle in prayer. If there was ever a time our country needed focused prayer from God's people, it is now. And so we need people seeking the Lord with a humble spirit, repenting of anything that's holding us back, and being the church, being that city on a hill and being salt and light to our culture. So War Room comes out August the 28th, and we hope people will come out and support it.
If you'd like to learn more about the film War Room, visit the website that you see there on the screen. If you'd like to see a trailer for the film, just click the links below. So go ahead and mark your calendar for Friday, August the 28th, and we'll see you at the movies.